The Wii U, something which a lot of people accidentally mistook for being an accessory for the original Wii. Some kind of touchpad accessory most thought they didn't need, but as we all know now, this was the downfall of the Wii U. There is no denying that the Wii U name was a huge mistake by Nintendo, at least from a marketing perspective, but despite the new ideas presented by Nintendo, it seemed like the Wii U was a total failure from the start. But was it? Really? Some gamers out there believe the console was a complete and utter failure, and some believe that it's one of the best consoles ever, albeit a very small minority. There is absolutely no denying that making it look a little like the original Wii and calling it Wii U was a huge marketing mistake, but the console itself was indeed revolutionary for Nintendo. It was the first console to output in full HD, and for the most part, first-party games ran incredibly well and some even kept a solid 60 frames a second. There were even some amazing games which, up until recently, were still only on the Wii U. One of those was Super Mario 3D World. That came out on the Switch with some extra content. Some games do remain locked to the Wii U hardware, such as Yoshi's Woolly World, which is an absolute gem of a game. I wish that would come over to the Switch, that'd be really nice. Yeah, I know it's on 3DS, but for the full HD experience, you do still need to play the Wii U version. There are plenty of other games which still remain on the Wii U, but for the most part they have been brought up to date on the Switch, with a few improvements here and there. But why exactly? Well, it's simple. Nintendo knows these games are good, like really good, and not enough hardware sales were made of the Wii U, so they brought it onto the Switch. A good example of this is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Releasing originally just as Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U, it's already sold over 5 times the amount of actual Wii U consoles in existence on the Switch. That's a good example of Nintendo doing the right thing. Anyway, despite what some gamers believe, it is hard to call the Wii U a failure, let alone a total failure. It was relatively easy for Nintendo to put these games on the Switch as the setup of both consoles are fairly similar. The only thing which really separates them is that dual screen setup. You know, the Wii U has that gamepad, Switch doesn't, but they can easily overcome that, and they have done with a lot of the Wii U games brought over to the Switch. One way to look at the process of the minds at Nintendo is to look at how often they release their consoles. If we look at the Nintendo 64, that came out in 1996. Do you remember that long ago? I do. The GameCube came out in 2001, which was just 5 years later. The Wii came out in 2006, 5 years after the GameCube, and the Wii U came out in 2012, 6 years after the Wii. And then came the Switch in 2017, 5 years after the Wii U. For decades, Nintendo has always stuck to a 5 or 6 year cycle for its consoles, with the Switch currently being a huge exception, mainly down to its success. But the fact that the Switch came out 5 years after the Wii U implies that really to Nintendo it was just a normal console cycle. There may have been some worry at Nintendo headquarters, but if it was truly a disaster, the Switch would have been rushed out. Thankfully, it wasn't. The reality is that the Wii U paved the way for the Switch's success, and it could be considered a test console on many levels. A test of playing games on the go, or as a console. Yes, the Wii U had limitations with the gamepad, we all know about it, you couldn't go outside the house with it, but without it, the Switch may not have been the runaway success it is now. There's no denying that the Switch absolutely is a massive success. The sheer sales numbers of the Switch are staggering, and it is still going strong, despite it almost being 6 years old at the time of making this video. Its success is the reason Nintendo has yet to reveal anything new in terms of hardware, not even a Switch Pro right now. Why make something new when something old is still raking in the cash? It's general business sense. The Wii U might be a console I could live without, but in reality I'm sure glad I have one. The games on it are fantastic, and although we're still yet to see the remasters of Zelda brought to Switch, you know, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, they still look amazing on the Wii U. The backwards compatibility with the Wii was also a fantastic function to add. Although in hindsight, maybe it was this which brought about even more confusion with the whole Wii gamepad accessory feeling which most people had. Sure, Wii games looked a bit washed out and blurry on the Wii U, but it sure looked better than the standard 480 which the Wii output at. It's just a shame the Wii U wasn't compatible with GameCube discs. Now that would have been a fantastic addition, but it is what it is. We owe that little console which caused so much confusion for so many people for how Nintendo can shape their future consoles. Learning from mistakes is essential to moving forward, and that's exactly what Nintendo did here. So at the end of the day, the Wii U may have been a failure to some degree, maybe from a commercial point of view, but it wasn't a failure on every level. Actually, it was far from it in terms of game quality and future development for Nintendo. Just keep a little space open in your heart for the Wii U next time you're playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on your Switch, and remember that you wouldn't be enjoying it quite so much if it wasn't for the good old Wii U. Now I know the Wii U can be controversial in some terms. Sometimes it can be compared to the Dreamcast, and I understand why, because the Dreamcast, many see that as a failure, a console ahead of its time. Some people may consider the Wii U a console ahead of its time. I, however, don't. The Wii U was not a console ahead of its time. For all intents and purposes, it was a test environment for Nintendo. But how do you feel about the Wii U? Let me know in the comments below whether you're a massive fan of it or whether you originally thought it was just one of those little accessories for the Wii. Thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to see more just like this.